Before you start watching, please help the channel thrive, give it a like, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications. Drop a comment if you relate to anything or want to dive into some topics together. In the smoldering ruins of Nevarro's hidden enclave, where the clang of Beskar on anvil once drowned out the whispers of the galaxy, a figure stands as both guardian and seer. She wears red armor forged from the stars themselves, her helmet adorned with tiny horn-like spikes that catch the dim light like embers of a forgotten fire. Her gloves, worn thin from decades of hammering metal, grip a Beskar ingot as if it were a sacred relic, and in her hands, it is. She is the armorer, not just a blacksmith of metal, but a keeper of secrets, a voice that speaks for the dead and the unborn, a bridge between the Mandalorians' fractured present and their mythic past. For generations, Mandalorians have wandered the galaxy as exiles, their homeworld scorched by the Great Purge, their clans fractured by betrayal, war, and the Empire's relentless campaign to erase their identity. They have clung to their armor as a second skin, their language as a lifeline, their code, the Resonare, as a compass in the dark. But they have lost something vital, a sense of purpose beyond mere survival. They have become warriors without a home, a people adrift, their once great legacy reduced to tales of violence and resilience. Then, in the quiet of her forge, the armorer utters words that send ripples through the Mandalorian diaspora. The Psalms of eons past foretold of the Mythosaur rising up to herald a new age of Mandalore. She tells Din Djarin in the halls of Glavis Ringworld, her voice steady as the Beskar she works, a timbre honed by years of speaking truth to power. Sadly, it only exists in legends, but legends, as the armorer knows better than most, are never just stories. They are prophecies waiting to breathe, truths buried beneath the weight of time and tragedy, echoes of a future that refuses to stay forgotten. Months later, beneath the surface of Mandalore, in the sacred living waters where redemption flows like liquid starlight, Bo-Katan cries, stares into the eyes of a beast thought extinct for millennia. The Mythosaur, a colossal leviathan of iridescent scales and sinew, rises from the depths, its roar shaking the very foundations of the world, a sound that reverberates through the bones of every Mandalorian within 100 light-years. In that moment, the armorer's legend becomes truth, and the galaxy watches as a scattered people's destiny stirs from its long slumber. How did a blacksmith from a hidden clan, one that rejects the galaxy's politics and clings to the strictest traditions, come to hold the key to Mandalore's rebirth? What do these ancient prophecies really mean for a culture torn between the rigidity of the past and the uncertainty of the future? And who will answer the Mythosaur's call to unite a broken nation, one divided by sects, scars, and the ghosts of failed leadership? This is not just a story of swords and armor, of battles won and lost, of empires rising and falling. It is a story of wisdom passed down through fire and blood, of prophecies that outlive emperors, of a woman who dared to remind her people that their greatest strength was never in their weapons, but in their faith in each other, in their ancestors, in the prophecies that have guided them since the first Mandalorians tamed the Mythosaurs of old. The galaxy has long underestimated the Mandalorians, dismissing them as brutes in metal, warriors without a cause. But the armorer's words reveal a truth they have forgotten. They are a people of prophecy, a culture built on the belief that their destiny is written not in the stars, but in the choices they make to honor their past and fight for their future. As the Mythosaur's shadow stretches across Mandalore's poisoned soil, a question hangs in the air like smoke from a dying fire. Will the Mandalorians seize this second chance? Or will they let their divisions destroy them once more? The answer lies not in the Darksaber's glow or the might of armies, but in the wisdom of the armorer and the ancient prophecies that have waited eons to be fulfilled. It lies in the hearts of every Mandalorian who still dares to dream of a home. Before we move on to the next topic, if you have anything you'd like to dive deeper into from the previous segment, please leave a comment below. All right, let's move on to the next topic. To understand the power of the armorer's words, we must first understand the woman behind the helmet, the quiet force that has kept Mandalorian culture alive when all other pillars crumbled. She is not just a member of the Children of the Watch, the devout Mandalorian sect that clings to the strictest interpretation of their culture's traditions. She is their heart, their memory, their connection to a past that many Mandalorians have been forced to abandon in the name of survival. In the aftermath of the Great Purge, when the Empire's fighters scorched Mandalore's surface and its death troopers hunted down clans one by one, the armorer did not flee to the edges of known space to hide. She built a sanctuary on Nevarro, a hidden enclave carved into the planet's rocky terrain, where surviving Mandalorians could gather, repair their armor, and remember who they were. There, amid the sparks of her forge and the smell of molten Beskar, she taught the Resonare, the 6 actions that define what it means to be Mandalorian, to the next generation, a lesson that began with the clink of armor and the murmur of Mandoa. Wear armor, she told them, not just for protection, but as a declaration of your identity. Speak the language, not just to communicate, but to keep the stories of your ancestors alive. Defend oneself and family, for loyalty is the foundation of our strength. Raise children as Mandalorians, so our culture does not die with us. Contribute to the clan's welfare, for no Mandalorian stands alone. Rally to the Mandalore when called, for unity is our only hope of reclaiming our home. These tenets are not just rules to her, they are the threads that weave the Mandalorian soul together. The difference between being Mandalorian and being Darmanda soulless, cut off from one's heritage, doomed to wander the galaxy without purpose, a ghost of what they could have been. The armorer's role as a keeper of heritage extends far beyond teaching the Rizolnare, however. She is a guardian of the stories, the songs, the prophecies that have been passed down through clans for thousands of years, preserved in oral tradition, and etched into the pages of ancient Beskar-bound tomes. When Din Djarin returns to her after removing his helmet, a violation of the Children of the Watch's most sacred vow, a sin in the eyes of her sect, she does not cast him out without hope. She does not scream, she does not condemn, she speaks with the weight of countless ancestors, offering a path to redemption that is rooted in prophecy. Bathe in the living waters beneath Mandalore, she tells him, her voice calm but unyielding, and you will be cleansed. Only then will you be a Mandalorian again. This guidance is not just a ritual, it is a prophecy in action, a reminder that Mandalorian identity is not static, but a journey of renewal, a cycle of fall and redemption that has defined their culture since the days of the first Mandalore. The Armorer's deep connection to Mandalorian lore is rooted in her sect's survival of the Night of a Thousand Tears, the cataclysmic event that marked the height of the Great Purge. While other Mandalorian clans like the Crises of Kalevala or the Vislas of Concordia were destroyed or scattered, the Children of the Watch survived by hiding in the caves of Mandalore's moon, clinging to their traditions with unyielding devotion. They rejected the galaxy's influence, refusing to remove their helmets in front of others, refusing to compromise their beliefs, and in doing so, they became living repositories of Mandalorian culture. This survival gave them a unique perspective, a direct link to the old ways that many other Mandalorians lost in the chaos of exile. It is why the Armorer speaks of the Mythosaur not as a fairy tale told to children, but as a truth that has been buried by time and tragedy, a prophecy that has waited for the right moment to awaken. Her credibility as a prophet comes not from grand visions or mystical powers, but from her unwavering commitment to preserving Mandalorian culture in its purest form. She is a living bridge between the past and the present, a woman who has dedicated her life to ensuring that the Mandalorians do not forget where they came from, even as they struggle to find where they are going. When she forges armor from Beskar, she is not just crafting a weapon, she is imbuing it with the spirit of the Mandalorian people, with the courage of those who fell in the Great Purge, with the hope of those who still fight to reclaim their home. Each piece of armor is a story. The scratch on a breastplate from a TIE fighter's laser, the engraving of a clan symbol long thought lost, the curve of a gauntlet modeled after the Mythosaur's claws. Each strike of the hammer is a prayer, a plea to the ancestors to watch over their children, to guide them back to Mandalore. This is the Armorer's true power. She does not just speak prophecies, she lives them, breathing life into ancient traditions and reminding the Mandalorians that their heritage is their greatest weapon. As Din Djarin sets out for Mandalore to seek redemption, he carries more than the Armorer's instructions. He carries the weight of a people's hopes, a prophecy that has waited eons to be fulfilled, and the wisdom of a woman who knows that the path to Mandalore's rebirth begins not with conquest, but with remembrance. The Armorer may stand alone in her forge, her helmet hiding her face, her hands calloused from years of work, but her voice echoes across the galaxy. A call to the Mandalorians to wake up, to remember who they are, and to embrace the destiny that has been written for them since the first Mythosaur roared over the plains of Mandalore. She is not just a blacksmith, she is a prophet, a guardian, and the last hope of a people on the brink of forgetting themselves.